I'm here with TJ Schmidt, who joined the staff a couple weeks ago and is finishing up his second week as the new assistant athletic trainer. TJ, first off, as a Blair, Nebraska native and former University of Nebraska athlete, how does it feel to be back in eastern Nebraska?
It's good. I've been gone for 3 years now, kind of all over the place. So it's I'm excited to be back close to home and family and friends. So
What excited you about the opportunity to be here at Concordia when you saw that opening?
well, I saw the opening and it was close to home. Smaller school, which is what I wanted, what I was looking for, and then chance to work with college athletes. I like the high school level and everything, but college is definitely where I want to be, and it was a job close to home, so I applied to it for it, and then as I interviewed and learned more about it, just everything really seemed to fit and click, and seemed like a really good place that I wanted to be. So kind of as the process went on, definitely got more excited about it.
As you mentioned, you spent a few years in Texas. You got your master's from Texas Tech, and then was the trainer at a high school in Texas. How did you grow, like, personally and professionally, just in that getting away from Nebraska?
Well, it was kind of nice. I mean, I've always been close to home, so when I was applying for grad school, I just figured going to go somewhere else, just try it out. Never lived outside Nebraska, so just give it a shot, see how it is. And Texas Tech was awesome. I loved Lubbock. It was a good fit for me as far as the program goes, and then learned a lot. Obviously, it's an entry-level program, so all my athletic training experience came from grad school. So just overall, really enjoyed it. But I knew after being there for about 6 months or so, I knew it wasn't really where I wanted to be permanently. But it was a lot of fun for a couple years.
They didn't give you too hard a time being a Husker. 'Cause at the time they were Big 12 rivals.
Yeah, well, it was during the whole conference realignment. There were a lot of people not down there, not real happy with Nebraska, but they'll get over it.
Let's talk a little bit about your athletic career. What was it like to compete as a gymnast at Nebraska? Certainly a lot of people in this area grow up dreaming of putting on that Husker red. So what was that like for you?
It was awesome. Definitely, I mean, as I was looking at schools and sending my recruiting stuff out, Nebraska, I mean, I've always been a diehard Husker fan, and definitely it was where I wanted to go, and then everything kind of worked out for it that way. But it was just great. I mean, just everything about it. I mean, great experience.
I know you were an All-American. What were some of your biggest highlights of your athletic career?
Biggest highlights. When I got my All-American event finals my sophomore year, that was, I mean, definitely one of them. NCAAs in general, my first NCAAs as a freshman. That was another highlight I made. I didn't make third day, but I had qualified to second day that year. Those were two of the big ones, and then I'm trying to think what year it would have been. Probably was sophomore year, our first meet at Rocky Mountain Open. Just was a really good meet in general, so those were probably some of the highlights.
I'm sure at that level your training schedule is pretty rigorous. What is it like on a day-to-day basis, kind of with working out and doing everything it takes to get ready?
It was basically we would always work out in the afternoons. Occasionally we would have some morning conditioning or something like that, but pretty much everything was afternoons. So do classes in the morning, and then afternoons, you'd warm up and stretch, then we'd work out for 3 hours, 4 hours or so, and then do some conditioning and strength work at the end. So.
How did you get involved in gymnastics, and why was it something you decided to pursue as a collegiate athlete?
I actually, my parents started me when I was 7 in gymnastics to get more coordinated and get stronger so I would be better at other sports. It wasn't actually to do gymnastics full time, but kind of as I got older, I started off, I played a lot of sports, did baseball, soccer, wrestling. But as gymnastics got bigger time commitment, then the other sports kind of just slowly fell off the list, and then eventually gymnastics was all I was doing.
How do you think your background helps you now in your career, your background as a gymnast?
Well, just kind of having a background as an athlete in general, you kind of can look at things from a little bit different angle. I mean, you can relate to the athletes a lot better because you've been in their shoes before. You understand, what it takes to compete in college athletics in general, and I think it just helps kind of form that basis and foundation that you can relate to each other on.
Obviously, it's a little quiet around here during the summertime without the athletes and stuff, but what are your initial impressions of Concordia and the people here?
Yeah, initial impressions are awesome. Everyone so far has been great. I've really enjoyed everything so far. Hasn't been too tough or strenuous yet, so pretty laid back, which is nice to start with. But no, overall everything has been, as good or better than I expected it to be. So.
Based on your undergrad degree, it seemed like you were kind of set down that path to be an athletic trainer. What made you interested in pursuing that as a career?
I actually, I initially, when I was a freshman at Nebraska, I went to register for classes, and my advisor asked what I was declaring my major as, and I said athletic training, and she just said, actually you aren't. And I was like, okay, so why am I not? And she said that athletes at Nebraska aren't allowed to do athletic training just because, and now that I've done both, it would have been, almost impossible to do time commitment for both of them. So I did the nutrition exercise science instead, and then kind of always was in the back of my mind. I was pre-PT and pre-med too, but when I finally graduated, athletic training still just like working with athletes and kind of the mentality of being on a team and all that stuff. So I applied for some entry-level master's programs, and so I could still do athletic training.
What do you hope to bring to athletic training at Concordia? Kind of what vision do you have for how things are going to go?
Hopefully smoothly. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know, just try to do what I can to help the athletes, perform their best, and just get everything going. I know grand vision. We'll have to just see how everything gets going, but yeah, hopefully just be able to jump right in and take off where everyone else left off.
How rewarding is it for you to be able to work with student athletes and kind of get them back on the playing field after an injury?
That's one of the best feelings, really. In athletic training, I think, is kind of seeing the injury and like you're there through the whole process. You're there when it happens. You, kind of go through the rehab and all the different stages that they go through, the ups and downs through it all, and then eventually when they put on the uniform and are back out on the field, it's kind of nice to know that you had a little part in that. Maybe not huge, but you're with them the whole time through it all. So.
Now you get to work with Randy Bach, and he said if you can put up with his bad jokes, then you'll be okay. I'm like, what is it like with working with Randy so far?
So far, Randy's been awesome. He's very laid back too, very helpful. So, he's always there to bounce ideas off or ask questions. So far it's been great.